Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in my hands, my SIG P226. I am in the middle of my quest to figure out all the appropriate carry solutions for this handgun. Now, with that, I have a number of objectives in mind. First off, training. Second off, just the ability to have a quality range gun. Third, well, can I concealed carry this? I am wondering about that. Now, this is a full-size handgun. It's heavy. It has the aluminum alloy frame, heavy-duty steel, just a beefy and bulky gun. But I was like, I want to carry this thing so bad. So I've thought about it, and I'm like, what would work? Well, here in my hands, I have a craft holster. Now, the interesting thing about craft holster, by far, from what I can tell, they have the widest array of just quality leather holsters and even Kydex and even nylon holsters for not only handguns, but handguns with weapon lights, and not only handguns with weapon lights, but handguns with weapon lights and optics and everything in between. So I found that they had such a wide variety that I was able to fully customize exactly how I wanted to carry my handgun. You could potentially go appendix, strong side, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You could go in the small, the back. Well, I decided to go crossdraw, which I've never carried crossdraw. I had never thought about it, but my brain told me that something this large, if I was going to carry it and try to carry it concealed, I would need to go crossdraw. And that's exactly what we're going to do here today. And then furthermore, I was like, well, at minimum, I want the ability to put an optic, because this particular model here, being the Legion, is optics ready. But then I was like, well, but do I carry it with a weapon light? So I'm curious, and I'm begging the question, what would you have done? I opted to leverage not only a weapon light, which makes this a light-bearing holster, but I also opted to go, for whatever reason, with the Streamlight TLR 8 sub. Now, this has the laser, it has the weapon light. I'm kind of like, am I making the right choices here? And that's what I'm saying about craft holsters. They give you such a wide variety and selection to choose from. I kind of would have rather almost been pinched into going without the weapon light, but I chose it. So I'm curious, leave your comments below, would you have gone weapon light or no? So in today's video, we are going to explore all of this. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Craft Holsters who did provide this for review. And if you like what you see here today, do me a favor, take a look in the description box below where you can get all of the relevant links for where you can find one of these awesome craft holsters. I don't care what kind of firearm you have, what kind of handgun you have, chances are there's a very good possibility that they have it in combination with your optic and your weapon light and everything in between. So, check the description box below for more details. And so as we get into this here, the other thing that's very interesting about the craft holsters, this exact holster was made for me. So they don't necessarily have everything right on the shelf. In fact, they're going to make your holster for you. Not always, but very often. They do have some models that are already in stock, but then they definitely have some models that are not. And in this particular case, I'm not going to say this was a rare selection, but it is specific enough that they made this combination specifically for me. So again, keep in mind the fact that you're going to see not only the fact that, you know, this is made for the SIG P226, but specifically with a weapon light and the optics cut. And beyond all of that, well, I got to pick my colors, and you'll see the box was fully sealed. And as I open this up right away, they wrote me a little letter. Hey, Eric, my friend, Here's your new Crossdraw rig, which I hope you really dig. Looking forward to your review of it, Al. So cool. Just awesome. They included here this break-in kit. So break-in liquid with a wool dauber and a microfiber cloth. So I'm not certain that this necessarily comes with all holsters, so I don't want to say that, but they did include it for this video, so I will use this to demonstrate it. Regardless of whether or not I feel like I need it, I will use it to have some talking points to this. And then as we move here, well, okay, welcome to the Holsters Club. Any trouble, let us know, support@craftholsters.com. I would say I'm not necessarily expecting to have any issues. You can see, comes nicely packaged in a cool little bag. And then here, handcrafted quality, produced by Falco Holsters, exclusively for craft holsters. Sig Sauer P226, black leather, right hand carry, and that's what I'm saying. So not only did I pick the other features, but I picked the fact that this is black leather and right hand carry, and man, look at this. Oh, beautiful. This thing is gorgeous. So as we take a look at this in detail, beautiful, nice quality, thick leather. Done right. You can see here, just burnished on all the edges wonderfully. No sharp edges, rounded out, contoured nicely. You can see that it is well dyed and form fit. So right away you can see form fit for the retention with that weapon light. In terms of the general construction, you can see there is some double stitching in specific and strategic areas. You end up with a beautiful, beautiful snap. So it does say Falco, again, Falco. So as you saw, crafted by Falco for craft holsters. And then all things considered, you can see that this should be more than adequate trigger coverage, but we're absolutely going to test that once we get into it. The snap here, quality snap, nice positive, really just deep retention for that snap, and everything formed wonderfully. Now this is stiff, so I'll give it that. This is stiff, which is not a bad thing, but we might need to see what it takes to get this thing broken in. This does come with a leather holster break-in guide. So first off, leather holster break-in. Apply denatured alcohol on the stiff parts of the holster from the inner side. Let it soak. So onto the stiff parts of the holster from the inner side only. Let it soak. Grab the holster and push the gun in a plastic bag in the holster and let it sit overnight. Boo, I'm in a rush. Just kidding. I will have to let this happen. So we'll go through it in detail and then I'll do the break-in overnight. Apply denatured alcohol to the inner side of the leather strap. Let it soak. Stretch the strap to lengthen it long enough. When the strap is snapped, let it sit overnight. Once dry, it will hold the new shape. Man, this is going to take a couple days, which is fine, but I'm in a hurry. Gotta get it done. But no, I will be patient, and it will be absolutely worth it. It also has nylon adjustment break-in and Kydex holster break-in. But for the leather, couple days process here. Let's break out this break-in kit real quick to see what they're talking about. Now, this should have that denatured alcohol right inside, which as we take a look at this, so break-in liquid, which I'm assuming is that denatured alcohol, and it's labeled 1. Little dauber here, a craft holster's microfiber, and your break-in instructions. Again, apply the break-in liquid to the parts of your holster that need to be loosened. Use the wool dauber to spread the liquid and let the leather soak it in. Stretch the leather to loosen the fit, or place the gun in a plastic bag inside the holster by force. Let it dry overnight. The leather will retain the adjusted fit. I think that's going to be incredibly important here. But as we move forward, I will need to mount my weapon light. So again, the Streamlight TLR 8 sub. Why this particular weapon light? I don't know. I have no idea, to be completely honest. This should be operational. Which, did I take the batteries out of this? Needs a battery. And I'm in business. So, yeah, I guess I can say I don't honestly know why this was the one that I picked. But it is the one that I picked. And I have this already set up with the appropriate pick rail adapter here. So this should be fully operational and ready to go in a mere matter of seconds. This is the start of leveraging my 226 in a slightly different way. To date, I have not used it with a weapon light, but we'll get this all mounted up. Nice fit there, looking very good. Actually, that mounts up nicely. The ability to get on it, simple, no problem there. So that's easy. And the real part of this review, the holster itself. So as we get into this here, sliding this into place, one thing that I did not anticipate, and that actually fits really well, but one thing I did not anticipate, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do about this, but I'm not thrilled at the snap and how that snap is literally going to drag across my finish each and every single time I draw the firearm. You can see already it is starting to make a mark in the leather where this is the single action only, and so this has the safety built into it. That's going to be certainly a consideration as I get this into place. That will make a difference here. But setting that in, you can see that is going to have a bit of conflict there and not sit all that well. And then, of course, on top of this, you end up with the hammer. So that's going to need to be stretched all the way around because that will come nowhere close to fitting at this point. But it will fit nicely around the beaver tail and should allow me to snap this properly into place. The backside does look like it is going to offer suitable protection against the finish. But once I unsnap that and go to draw this, hopefully, I do not scuff the garbage out of my finish every single time I draw this firearm. I suspect that is going to happen. I don't know how I feel about it just yet. Part of me doesn't care because this needs to be a workhorse, and it is what it is. If it gets hard use patina and love because I'm sending it in and out of my holster, so be it. But so far, I definitely have questions. But if I can get this adjusted properly, which means I'm going to soak it overnight, stretch that leather, get it snapped into place, and then protect the back side of this just with like a little bit of a bag so that it doesn't, create any rust issues. That will be pretty sweet. And I feel like there's not much more I'm going to need to do to this holster for the fit because it is already weapon light bearing. And because of that, it already has a very snug and literally perfect fit. I don't feel like I'm going to need to do anything else. This piece has already been taken care of by the factory. But now working the holster into place. First off, taking the belt, going to route that down and through. Going to go through my first belt loop, come back through the holster. And I think that should position it about right where I'm going to have this on my front. I'm going to kind of cant it. Probably about here for that cross draw. And at this point, pretty much got to work this belt all the way through. It's going to start to have friction and bind up. And I feel like that should be just about right. Routing my belt through the rest of the loops, and now making up the end of the belt. So my question is, what do you do with this tag end? Do I tuck it back down and through the belt loop? That, my friends, is another unanticipated issue to contend with. Other than that, so far this is literally awesome placement. But this right here, I mean, that right there kind of stinks. I feel like I gotta run my belt lefty, which is exactly what I did. Now, if you're into CCW, you probably realize some of the concessions that you need to make with your wardrobe. This is just part of the territory. But for the 226, at this point, I'd say strap out of the way, good trigger finger discipline, just practicing, and for the sake of the argument, just to say everything is fully clear. But practice here, I would say thumb over the back, good trigger finger discipline, slowly and reluctantly reholstering. This is where it now gets tight. So you can see as I go to insert this, I'm going to need to apply liquid all through this section, get it to stretch. Inserting the fire. Oh, I'm pretty sure I just dragged that button, but whatever. And there you go. The strap, again, I also know I am absolutely going to have to stretch that out. But in terms of cross draw, I kind of like the nature of this is nice and tight up against me. Got that right in front of me. I can protect it even with my cover garment. Kind of use my hands, keep things concealed. Standing with my arms, kind of blocking it. Control of the hammer. And of course with this you would carry it cocked and locked. So that's how you would carry this. So having control of that hammer in front of me, reducing what it can bang off of, I do like that. The ability to easily and sort of concealed get on that if I needed to. So if shit was hitting the fan and I had a bead on what's going on, just click that down. Now, that will be a problem when this strap goes over, because I'm now contending with my hammer. That's going to be an issue, big time, and the safety. So I can say already, if you are somebody carrying this single action only or a single action only handgun, the cocked and locked methodology might not be the best. You're probably better off, if you're going to do this, double action, single action, so that you have a decocker and you can actually rack it, decock the hammer, and then carry this double action ready. But this is what I am personally here to figure out and to contend with. That definitely is dragging a little bit on my serrations. So not really stripping yet on the Cerakote, but that is definitely going to wear and leave a mark every time I insert and withdraw the firearm. So another consideration. But beyond that, let's see, my ability to sit down. Which again, if you are somebody that conceal carries, you know that sitting down with a firearm can be very difficult. Now, what I can tell you is, at this time, my muzzle is absolutely pointed through the corner of my leg. I definitely have suitable trigger coverage and reasonable control, so it shouldn't be a problem, but I am definitely pointing my handgun at the corner of my leg, which when I conceal carry appendix, well, you know what the muzzle's pointed at there. So what are you gonna do? The other consideration with a cross-draw holster is when I am moving about, is this muzzle potentially pointed at anybody else? But the reality is, at this point, it is pointed down at an angle towards the floor. And so that's not too bad. I feel like that leaves it fairly responsible. And again, my ability to sit, it's right there. Should be quick and easy. I can withdraw. Oh, simple. And that works out just fine. You do need to be a little bit careful with your methodology, because as I draw, if I'm not careful, I can drag the pistol across my lap. I need to now turn and present. So a matter of practice will go a long way. This is definitely different. I can't say that I don't like it yet. I don't think I'm gonna mind, you know, what this does to the handgun. I don't see anything that looks like it's gouging or really causing any scrapes. Is it gonna get some wear marks? Yes. Is that hard use patina and love? Yes. So if that happens because of this, I'm okay. Getting this back into the holster, I would at this point stand up, slowly and reluctantly install the firearm. I can tell you I probably don't need to make that much in the way of adjustments to this. I don't think I'm even going to touch the inside of the leather right here. I think I'm going to leave that alone because it is literally amazing retention. As long as I pull the strap, that's going to be a little bit of a thing. Instead of taking this and shoving it in, I need to take this and open it up just a touch, just a touch. Go slow, install. The other thing worth noting, and I do need to point this out, you will absolutely have a slightly different grip. As you try to gain that master grip, you can see I'm struggling to get my thumb behind the grip and tight up onto that beaver tail. I will absolutely bottom out on the holster and on my belt. So is cross draw perfect? I'm going to say no. If you are somebody that needs to drag your handgun out in a hurry, this is not going to be the best for self-defense. But if you want quality carry that allows you access to a larger handgun, and maybe you're just mitigating your situation, and you have the ability to kind of skirt around things, and you want to have this at the ready, I would say that would work. But this is not going to be the best choice for concealed carry nor quick response if you have an urgent situation and you need this for immediate self-defense. In this particular configuration and location, just simulating that strap being snapped, typical cover garment, well, are you happy to see me or what? Absolutely. That's going to be tough. That is really going to be a challenge. You're going to need something that has a little more shape and a little more bulk, which now at this point I can say I can pretty much get away with this. Now, is it perfect? No. Does it kind of stick out maybe a little bit? Yes. But, you know, get my hands in my pockets, stay warm, have my jacket if I need to at this point. There you go. So, I don't know. Is this practical? I would say that this carry method, and at least with a larger handgun at minimum, is really only suitable for what I would say is fall and late fall at that, through the winter and into the early spring, where you can wear an appropriate cover garment. You would not be able to get away with this, and certainly again with a handgun of this size and in this configuration, you would not be able to get away with this in any warm conditions with a lighter cover garment, and you'd look completely ridiculous wearing a winter coat in the middle of the summer. So far, a bit of an experiment, and I am definitely learning. For the sake of the argument, taking this a little further out for me now, that's 9 o'clock. And Crossdraw, I mean, am I carefully and safely and securely installing this across my body? I can't really see the trigger. I'm assuming that's buried all the way, but I can't really tell. Working lefty now to try to get the snaps. And does that really gain me everything with my handle pointed out and my grip just protruding? And that to me is just craziness. So to me, that absolutely would not work, does not work, is not safe, and is a no-go in my opinion. But with the handgun now in the plastic bag, I am going to stretch the leather strap. I'll use the break-in liquid. Actually, we'll get it started here. Little pump bottle, spraying it onto the leather dauber. Flipping this over, going to heavily saturate the leather as much as I can. Quite frankly, I could probably literally spray it right on here as long as I was careful, but that's going to be fine. Letting the leather soak this in. I'm going to stretch the leather now from one side to the other and see if it will go all the way. Of course, you have a firearm in a bag, so like all things firearms, be extremely careful here, but I feel like as long as you're taking all the appropriate precautions, checking for clear multiple times. All right, so getting that snap into place, I can tell you it definitely takes a little bit of elbow grease, but it's not that difficult. So at this point, I do have that snap in place. I'm actually literally just going to wipe this whole thing down just for a quick second here. Make sure I didn't leave any excess that I don't want, just to preserve the finish. Keep it nice and shiny. That actually looks real good. And we're going to leave this until tomorrow. So at this point, my craft holsters, Crossdraw holster, getting it ready. Let's see how this turns out. We'll be back tomorrow. And so here I am, literally 24 hours later with my gun in a bag. But how did this do? Well, we are going to see if this strap held its form, which, oh my God, yes it did. I mean, that thing is definitely stretched out. So at this point, I can certainly remove this from the bag. And as I go to set this back into the holster, again, that's going to be a pretty good fit. And then the strap now is absolutely, yep, that is absolutely going to be about the right fit. It might need one more simple stretching session to make that a little easier to get on, but the reality is this is going to live in there with that strap in place. You'll notice, unfortunately, the downside being this is with the hammer down, not with the hammer cocked. So, you know, I would need to have kind of like a multi-step process to withdrawing the firearm in an effective manner, in a fast manner, in my ability to get this on target. So this again is probably not really practical for self-defense or for concealed carry. Now, what good is the Crossdraw? Well, for me, right now, honestly, it's just another way to carry my firearm. It's another way to practice. It's another thing to try. It's another thing to learn and understand. I am in a very fortunate position as a reviewer to have the opportunity to test and try things in many different ways, and that is exactly what this is. That snap is going to be a little bit difficult to get into place, and I can go as far as to say, realistically, you pretty much don't need this. I mean, that retention is awesome, and this would probably be much better without that strap and certainly without the snap on the inside here, which does have, again, the potential to completely scuff and mar your finish. But all in all, interesting. I'm not sold one way or another. I have a long way to go to gain an understanding of the effectiveness of this, but at least at this point I can say this is pretty well suited to where if I'm going to carry it this way, at least I have the ability to do so. This might not be that bad just for general transportation. This would be fantastic for overt carry, I would say, if you're not trying to conceal. This is actually pretty good, and especially if you plan ahead and you're mitigating your situation. If you could get your firearm out, this is actually a very safe and nice way to carry it, and again, gives you the ability to sit down fairly easy. So, hard to say. The jury's still out. And so all in all, what do I think about the craft holster? First off, the holster itself is beautiful. Wonderfully made, nicely dyed, awesome form fit, great construction. I do need to personally, question for me whether or not the Crossdraw was the right style of carry for this particular firearm, but that is absolutely not an indictment on the quality of the holster. The snaps are very nicely made. The overall features are awesome. I love that they had the break-in kit. It definitely worked effectively. So all in all, this craft holster is definitely nice. I can say it's gorgeous, and if I were to do this again, I would probably pick strong side carry, outside the waistband. But again, I wanted to learn. I wanted to experiment. I wanted to see what works and doesn't work. And the only way for me to figure it out is to try. So again, to the people at Craft Holsters, thank you so much for providing this for review. I hope you guys found this enjoyable. If you like what you see here, or you want to check out Craft Holsters for yourself, I strongly suggest it. Look in the description box below where you can get all of the relevant links. And if you like this content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it. That's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.